from Shaitan, the wretched one. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I begin in the name of Allah, the compassionate, the most merciful. La ikraha fid deen. There is no compulsion in faith. قد تبين الرشد من الغي. Surely the correct way has become distinct from فمن يكفر بالطاغوت ويؤمن بالله فقد استمسك بالعروة الوثقى. So whosoever denies the rebel and believes in Allah has surety laid hold of the firm cable of which there is no breaking. He has held the strongest ring which will not snap. Wallahu Sami'un Alim, and Allah is all hearing, all knowing. We are reading verse number 256 of Surah Baqarah, chapter number 2. Previously, we read Tafseer of Ayatul Kursi. Ayatul Kursi was all about Tawheed and Qudrat, oneness of Allah, power of Allah, belief in Allah. Before this, Allah talked about Risalat, وَإِنَّكَ لَمِنَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ تِلْكَ الرُّسُلِ. And Tawheed and Risalat are the basis of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is now saying that since Tawheed and Risalat have become extremely clear, they are self-evident. Their nur and light is like the nur and light of the sun. There is no denial of the sun. Just need to force anyone to believe that the sun shines and there is light in the sun. Similarly, you to force anyone to believe that Islam is true religion, faith, belief, iman is haqq, correct and right. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, since everything is clear, there is no compulsion and no enforcement in deen. What does this mean? Ibn Kathir rahmatullahi alayhi said, it means لا تكرهوا أحدا على الدخول في دين الإسلام فإنه بين واضح جلي دلائله وبراهينه ولا يحتاج إلى أن يكره أحد فيه بل من هداه الإسلام وشرح صدره ونوره دخل فيه على بينة ومن أعمى الله قلبه وختم على سمعه وبصره فإنه لا يفيده الدخول في الدين مكرها مقصورا. Beautiful words. That's why I read the whole ibadat of Ibn Kathir. He's saying La ikraha fi deen. Akraha yukrihu ikrahan means to force someone into do something. Like to force someone at gunpoint to give talaq to his wife. ऐसा होता है, मार मार के ठूस निकाल देने का तलाक दो, वो देना पड़ता है. To save one's life, he has to give it. So this type of force cannot be used for deen. So Allah is saying, لا تكرهوا أحدا على الدخول في دين الإسلام. Do not force anyone to enter deen Islam, because deen Islam is extremely clear and wadih, apparent. Dalail of deen Islam are clear and wadih, burhan and evidences upon everything that Islam says about Tawheed, Sifat, Akhirat, Risalat, Malaika, books of Allah, Imaniyat, everything is proven through Dalail. You need to understand, have an open mind and read, read, read. When you read it, you will understand, your heart will open up. This is why Islam is not like other religions who hide their religion. There is no hiding, no secrecy. Islam is open, clear. Here, take it. Anybody can read the Quran Sharif. We invite you to read Quran Sharif. So, Hafiddin means La tukrihu ahadan fi din al-Islam. Or in other words, La ikraha fi dukhul fi din. There is no compulsion in religion, meaning no compulsion in entering the religion, in coming to the religion. To come, we're not going to force you to come. We'll invite you. It's up to you. To come if you want. If you don't want to come, no problem. Once you've come inside this circle and you've entered it, then you will have to abide by the instructions. Halal, haram, jaiz, najaiz, Gunah, neki, and if you do any hudud, zina, sharab, then you will have to face the punishment and consequences as well. So nobody is forcing you to come to deen, but when you come, then you'll have to pray 5 times a day as well. You'll have to keep roza as well. You'll have to give zakat as well. You'll have to go for hajj as well. You can't deny any of these things. You'll have to avoid pork. You'll have to avoid alcohol. Whatever is haram, you'll have to avoid zina, liwatat, whatever. So, la ikraha fi din means la ikraha fi dukhul fi din. La tukrihu ahadan ala dukhul din al-Islam. You have entered, then that is something else. Hudud and halal, haram, everything will be addressed towards you. Ibn Kathir, Rahmatullah, goes on to say, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blinded someone and put a seal on his heart and his ears and his eyes, then if forced to come into deen, it will not benefit him. Because his mind will always be elsewhere. This is why the Shane Nuzul of the ayat, there are 3 riwayat with regards to it. One is that it was revealed regarding some people from Ansar, but the hukm is am. Reports, كانت المرأة مقلاة فتجعل على نفسها إن عاش له ولد أن تهوده. Sometimes a woman from Ansar would be miqlat, meaning her child would not live. The child would die straight after birth. So she had multiple children and they all died straight after birth. So she would make a vow that if my child lives, I will make him a Jew. Now there were some children who did live and they handed them over to the Jews. When Islam came and the Yahud were extradited, those whose children were among the Yahud, they were also going. They were told to embrace Islam. They said no. So their parents said, should we force them to enter Islam? But Nabi Kareem said no. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this ayat. فَلَمَّا أُجْلِيَتْ بَنُو النَّظِيرِ كَانَ فِيهِمْ مِنْ أَبْنَاءِ الْأَنصَارِ فَقَالُوا لَا نَدَعُوا أَبْنَاءَنَا. We're not going to let them go. فَأَنزَلَ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى لَا إِكْرَاهَ فِي الدِّينِ قَدْ تَبَيَّنَ الرُّشْدُ مِنَ الْغَيِّ. يعني لا تكرهوهم على الدين. Don't force them. Number 2, another riwayat narrated by Ibn Jarir al-Tabari is that there was a person from Ansar, from Banu Salim ibn Auf, whose name was Al-Husayy, and he had 2 sons who were Christians. He was a Muslim. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, ألا أستكرههما فإنهما قد أبيا إلا النصرانية فأنزل الله تعالى لا إكراه في الدين. Ya Rasulullah, shall I force them? They refuse to do anything but remain Nasrani Christian. Huzur said, no. Allah Pak revealed this ayat, La ikraha fid din. Don't force them to come into deen. A third riwayat is connected to this, not Shan-e-Nuzul, but connected to it. Ibn Kasir narrated it. Ibn Abi Hatim narrates from Abu Hilal from Asbaq that Asbaq was Christian slave and he belonged to Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab. Sayyidina Umar used to offer him Islam, present it to him, but he would refuse. Sayyidina Umar would read, La ikraha fid din. I can't force you into deen. And then he would say, Ya Asbaq, law aslamta, lasta'anna bika ala ba'di umuri al-muslimin. If you embraced Islam, we would seek your help for some of our matters because you are an intelligent person. You have so many skills. We could do with you if only you embraced Islam. But Hazrat Umar did not force him to embrace Islam. He used to keep presenting. He did not accept. That was his choice. So, La ikraha fid deen. Do you understand the meaning of it now? There is no compelling anyone, forcing anyone to come into the religion Islam. You can't force anyone to embrace Islam. It's by choice. Hazrat Mufti Shafi Sahab, Rahmatullah alayhi, writes a very nice point over here. He says, इकराह से जिस्म पर कंट्रोल हो सकता है, दिलो दिमाग पर नहीं. By force, you can control someone's body. Give him a few dandas, करेगा कि नहीं? हाँ जी अभी करूंगा. As long as he is under that force and danda, gunpoint, he'll do that. But as soon as that danda is gone, then he will also go back to his old ways. You can't control someone's heart and mind with force. Now, we see Islam, Islam captured the hearts and minds of people. Whoever accepted Islam was fascinated by Islam, by the teachings of Islam, by the ruhaniyat and spirituality of Islam, by the proximity and closeness he felt to his creator, by the sukoon and tranquility and peace he found in Deen Islam. This is why Islam spread. Islam didn't spread by the sword. I was reading one article about this historian, and he said those people who say Islam spread by sword, they are behaving in a childish manner. Whoever has studied history will deny this claim. He will say these people are childish. They don't know how Islam spread. They don't know what good Islam brought to the world. Islam brought so much civilization to the dunya, to the world. And there will be videos upon this. And you can listen to Sheikh Ahmad Ali Saab, who will talk about algebra and this and that and cataracts and operations. And we invented all this many, many centuries ago when Europe was still in its nappies, diapers. There was nothing here. There was darkness away, the dark ages of Europe. And Islam was at its uruj in Spain, in Cordoba, in Granada, in Andalusia. And there was so much renaissance going on there. So these people, who forced them to deen? In fact, if you remember, I mentioned in the Tariq of Spain, Islam in Spain, that Muslims did not conquer Spain, they were invited to Spain. They were invited, you come here and grant us relief from our zalim and tyrant and unjust rulers. The King Roderick was doing so much zulm upon the people of Spain that they crossed the ocean, came to Morocco and invited Musa bin Nusayr to send his army and finish off Roderick and give them some sukoon. So Musa bin Nusayr had to check it out. He sent some agents for intelligence gathering. They came back and reported that they are true. It's not any trick or deception or something. Then Musa bin Nusayr selected Tariq bin Ziyad, 7,000 soldiers on that ship, and Roderick came with 100,000, and there was a huge battle, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them victory. And King Roderick and those zalim tyrants were finished, and Muslims led the people of the land stay with peace and sukoon. You can hold on to your churches, hold on to your religion, do what you want to, but this is how we will rule the country. And they embraced Islam by themselves. Like Quran said, يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا. Fauj dar fauj Islam mein dakhil ho gaya. Pura Spain Islam mein dakhil ho gaya. So, La ikraha fi deen, when they say Islam spread by sword, is a childish claim. बेकार बकवास है. उनको पता है वो जबरदस्ती खामों का इस्लाम को बदनाम करने के लिए. You know what is force? Force was used by Genghis Khan. He had no ideology. He had nothing. All his ideology was kill, 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 and kill. Even if you surrendered, you wanted to make peace with him, he will still kill you. So he was on a killing spree. He murdered 1.8 million people in that time, when there was no bombs and no fighter planes and etc. missiles. 1.8 million people were murdered by Genghis Khan. That was a murderer and killer. And within a few years, his dynasty finished. Today, there's no one to take his name. But Islam spread, and Islam is still prevailing in spite of all the things that are happening. So, La ikraha fi deen means you can't force anyone to enter deen. Why can't you force anyone to enter deen? Read what follows. What does Allah say after this? قَدْ تَبَيَّنَ الرُّشْدُ مِنَ الْغَيِّ. You can't force anyone into deen because hidayat and gumrahi have become very clear, have been explained and explained clearly. So why do you need to force someone? When the explanation is clear, when it's extremely evident what truth is, what falsehood is, what haqq is, what batil is, then why would you need to force someone into deen Islam? قد تميز الإيمان من الكفر بالدلائل الواضحة فمن يكفر بالطاغوت ويؤمن بالله فقد استمسك بالعروة الوثقى. Now, whosoever denies taghut and believes in Allah, then it is he who has held firm to the al-urwatul wusq, lan fisama laha, which will never break, and Allah is all hearing, all knowing. فَمَنْ يَكْفُرْ بِالطَّاغُوتِ كَفَرَ يَكْفُرُ, to reject, to deny. Taghut is from tagha yatghi tughyanan, which means sarkashi karna, to rebel and cause a rebellion, shararat, badmashi, gundagardi, go on a killing spree and fight and causing chaos and wreak havoc. This is called tughyan. And taghut is barwazan fa'alut from there, isme mubalagha. Now, who is this? Who is Allah referring to with taghut? Various tafasir. Number one, ash-shaytan. So, فَمَنْ يَكْفُرْ بِالطَّاغُوتِ يعني بِالشَّيْطَانِ. Number two, bil-asnam. Because shaitan makes lots of fasad and mischief and chaos. He's a rebel. And asnam, he uses asnam and idols to create chaos and fasad and spread shirk among people. So asnam are also taghut. Number three, kullu ma ubida min dunillah. Anything that is worshipped other than Allah is a taghut. Number four, kullu ma yudghil insan fahuwa taghut fa'ulun min at-tughyan. Anything that causes sarkashi and rebellion in a person is called taghut, is from tughyan. So this is why sometimes in Quran Sharif taghut is used for a head of kufr and shirk. ألم تر إلى الذين يزعمون أنهم آمنوا بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك يريدون أن يتحاكموا إلى الطاغوت وقد أمروا أن يكفروا به. Taghut there is reference to Ka'b bin Ashraf, who was a sharir, badmash, rogue, gunda, and of the highest order, and he used to cause so much mischief in and around Medina Sharif. So people wanted to go for Faisla and decision to him. Allah said, why don't you come to Rasul? Why are you going to the Taghut? So anyone who is Ras and head of Kufr and Shirk is also called Taghut. So all these are included in Taghut. whoever denies the taghut and وَيُؤْمِن billah and believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's rejected shaitan, he's rejected idol worship, he's rejected all leaders of kufr, badmash and hundagardi karne wale. He's rejected everything that is worship besides Allah, and he's connected himself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَيُؤْمِن billah, he believes in one and only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَقَدْ اسْتَمْسَكَ بِالْعُرْوَةِ الْوُثْقَى, he has held on firmly to the urwatul wuthqa, the ring which is pretty strong. It's a ring, metal ring. You hold on to it, then you will not fall off. It will not snap. You will not lose it, and you will not fail in it. You will be strong. If it snaps, if it's loose, if it's weak, then you could get into trouble. So when you've believed in Islam, believed in Allah, connected to Allah, you've held on to something that is unbreakable. Allah is unbreakable. Belief in Allah is unshakable. You should have that strong iman and yaqeen in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you do this, deny all the taghut and believe in Allah, then you have held on to the urwatul wuthqa. Mujahid said al-urwatul wuthqa al-iman. Suddi said al-Islam. Sa'id ibn Jubair said bil-urwatil wuthqa ay bila ilaha illallah. Anas ibn Malik said bil-urwatil wuthqa ay bil-Quran. Salim ibn Abil Ja'd said bil-urwatil wuthqa huwa al-hubbu fillahi wal-bughdu fillahi. Nasafi said هذا تمثيل للمعلوم بالنظر والاستدلال بالمشاهد المحسوس حتى يتصوره السامع كأنه ينظر إليه بعينه فيحكم اعتقاده والمعنى فقد عقد لنفسه لا تحله شبهة. That this is, Allah is giving resemblance to something which is spiritual with something which is visible. So you can see when you hold on to something which is life-saving. Let's say you're drowning, and you get this life-saving, boat or something. You hold on to it, and in that water you are saved from drowning. So you hold on to it tightly. You don't let go of it, and you save yourself. Similarly, Allah is saying, if you believe in your heart in whatever Allah has said, then in your heart you've tied a strong knot, and your aqidah and your belief is very strong. And that strong belief and iman is what will pull you through and save you from the things which are surrounding you, from the evils which might be surrounding you, which might be tempting you, where there might be a risk of you falling into those things. So this is the meaning of it. So فَقَدْ اسْتَمْسَكَ بِالْعُرْوَةِ الْوُثْقَى لَا انْفِصَامَ لَهَا وَاللَّهُ سَمِيعٌ عَلِيمٌ. हजरत ने उसमें चलो. Now Hazrat Mufti Sahab, Mufti Shafi Sahab has explained over here answer to one query. If there is no compulsion in religion, then why does Islam allow jihad fi sabilillah, qital fi sabilillah? Hazrat says, looking at this little carefully, we can find out that the objection is not valid, since teaching jihad and qital in Islam is not to force people into accepting faith. Had it been so, why would there be Islamic injunctions of jizya to provide an umbrella of security for the disbelievers which protects their life, property, and honor? In fact, this is to remove, meaning jihad fi sabilillah, remove disorder, strife, or fasad. For Allah Almighty dislikes fasad, which is what the disbelievers are after. Therefore, Allah has said, وَيَسْعَوْنَ فِي الْأَرْضِ فَسَادًا وَاللَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُفْسِدِينَ. And they go about the earth spreading disorder and mischief and fasad. And Allah does not like those who cause mischief and spread disorder. It is for this reason that Allah Almighty ordained that the fasad created by such people should be removed by jihad fi sabilillah. So, fighting and struggling with such people is like struggling with serpents, scorpions, and their harmful likes. Islam has firmly banned, disallowed the killing of innocent women, children, and the aged and the crippled, etc. Even in the heat of jihad on the battlefield, they are incapable of creating any disorder and fasad. Similarly, it has stopped the killing of those who become law abiding citizens by promising to pay jizya, compensatory dues paid by free non Muslim under Muslim rule, against guarantee of security of their life, property, and honor. This approach of Islam makes it clear that it does not want to force people to accept or and enter the faith, rather far from it. By using it as a method of stopping oppression in the world, it hopes to establish justice and equity and peace and security. When Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu invited an old Christian woman to accept Islam, she said in reply, "Ana ajuzun kabiratun wal mautu ilayya qareebun." I am an old woman nearing death. Hearing this, Sayyidina Umar did not force her to come into the fold of Islam. In fact, he recited this verse, La ikraha fid deen, meaning there is no compulsion in faith. Really and truly, coercion and to make someone accept a faith are not possible at all, because faith is not related to outward physical response. It relates to the heart. Force and compulsion affect nothing but the outside of physics. And this is all that is affected by jihad and qital. Consequently, it is just not possible that people can be forced to accept faith through these measures. This proves that the verses of jihad and qital are not contradictory to the verse La ikraha fi din. This is taken from Mazhari and Qurtubi. So, इसका मीनिंग अब अच्छी तरह समझ में आ गया. ला इकराह फि दीन, क़द तबय्यन ar-rushdu min al-ghayy. Do not force anyone into deen. Let people do what they want. Free will is there. Hidayat, guidance, is pretty much clear from gumrahi and error. Now, whoever denies and rejects Taghut, he'll have to take that initial step himself. Reject it, say I don't believe in all that, and come to Allah and believe in the oneness of Allah, the qudrat of Allah, the power of Allah. Then he has held on to that ring or rope which is unsnappable, unbreakable, firmly, and he will now slowly, smoothly move on with that belief and yaqeen. And Allah is all hearing, all knowing. Allah knows who enters Deen Islam by force and who enters willingly, who enters Islam for personal gains, and who enters Islam with ikhlas. He knows their conditions, and he is Sami'. He is hearing of their testimony when they say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. If they are doing it for personal gains, Allah hears what they are saying. Allah knows what they are doing. Then finishing off in this verse, next verse, Allah said, Allahu waliyul ladhina amanu yukhrijuhum min adh-dhulumati ila an-nur. Allah is the wali, the patron of those who believe. It is He who brings them forth from darkness into light. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَوْلِيَاؤُهُمُ الطَّاغُوتُ مِنَ النُّورِ إِلَى الظُّلُمَاتِ. And as for those who disbelieve, their patrons are the devils. They bring them forth from light into darkness. أُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. They are the inmates of the fire. Therein they shall abide. Allahu waliyul ladhina amanu is connected to the previous verse. That those who do have iman, who reject that taghut and who have iman in Allah, then Allah is the wali, hami, nasir, mutawalli umurihim, the guardian, the patron, the one who will take care of their matters. You might face some difficulties in the beginning, Be strong. Allah is your patron. Allah is your caretaker. Allah is your Hami and Nasir. Don't waver. Khazin said, Waliyul ladina amanu means muhibbuhum wa mutawalli umurihim fala yakiluhum ila ghayrihim. Some said mutawalli hidayatihim. Allah is the guardian of those who believe. Tafsir Majidi says, He in fact is the only patron or guardian besides whom there exists no patron, saints, guardian angels or saviors. It is He who drives them out of darknesses and into light. يخرجهم من الظلمات ظلمات الكفر والضلالة. And zulumat is plural and nur is singular, because there are many ways of zulmat, many aqsam and types and varieties of kufr and shirk, many different religions which are all filled with zulumat. And nur, and that is nur of Islam. So nur is singular and zulumat is brought plural. So He takes them out of the various darknesses of kufr and shirk and polytheism and whatever disbeliefs and shirk, and He brings them into nur and light. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَوْلِيَاؤُهُمُ الطَّاغُوتُ يُخْرِجُونَهُم مِّنَ النُّورِ إِلَى الظُّلُمَاتِ. As for those who deny, reject, disbelieve, their awliya are the taghut. Taghut over here is singular, but Nasafi said it's in the meaning of ma'na al-jama', because taghut though has jama' tawaghit, but it can also be used for singular and plural. So awliya'uhum tawaghit. Khazin said hum ru'asa'u dhalalati, hum sa'iru dhalala. They are all the leaders of misguidance and error. So the tawaghit, all the leaders, all tawaghit, whether it's shaitan, whether it's as-sanam, whether they are ru'usul kufri wa dalala, they are all taghut. So the disbelievers, their patrons, their gang leaders, their ring leaders are the tawaghit, and they are the ones who take them, drive them out of nur and into zulumat. Various forms of zulumat, kufr and shirk. So sometimes they drive them through love, muhabbat, ishq, by watching Indian movies and falling in love with non-Muslims and getting into kufr and shirk. And when you go to explain, they say, nah, this is okay, this is shahwat. The other day when we had that program, Maulana Muhammad Saab explained from some of the Mashayikh, Akabir, I think Ghazali or someone, Razi, that the reason why people leave Deen Islam is either shubuhat or shahwat. They fall into shubha, doubt, or they fall for shahwat, desire. These are the two main reasons which distract people and pull them out of Deen Islam and take them into kufr and disbelief. They fall in love with someone, that's desire. They create some doubts in their minds, this is shubha. They watch YouTube, they watch such films, movies, things like that, and that is what creates doubts in their minds about Islam, suspicions about Allah, suspicions about Rasulullah, doubts about Akhirat, doubts about Risalah, doubts about Quran, and that is what drives them out of the fold of Islam. So those who disbelieve, their patrons and guardians are the tawaghit and the rebels, the devils. They bring them forth from light and into darkness, and they are the inmates of fire, and they will abide in there forever. This is how this ayat comes to a close, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala our iman and the iman and deen of our children. We'll just stop over here, translate what we've read up to now, and then inshallah next week we'll read the next ruku from Alam Tara ila alladhi hajja Ibrahima, where Allah is giving some examples to explain about the masala of akhirat, ba'as ba'd al-maut, how Allah will bring the dead back to life. Allah is explaining His qudrat and His power. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. La ikraha fid deen. There is no compulsion in faith, in bringing faith, in believing. قد تبين الغي. The correct way has become distinct from error. فمن يكفر بالطاغوت ويؤمن بالله فقد استمسك بالعروة الوثقى. Then whosoever denies the rebel, the devil, and believes in Allah has surely grabbed hold of the firm cable which will not break, which will never break. Wallahu Sami'un Alim, and Allah is all hearing, all knowing. Allahu waliyul ladhina amanu yukhrijuhum min adh-dhulumati ila an-nur. Allah is the patron, guardian, caretaker of who believe. He brings them forth from darkness to light. والذين كفروا أولياؤهم الطاغوت يخرجونهم من النور إلى الظلمات. As for those who disbelieve, their patrons are the devils. They bring them forth from light into darkness. أولئك أصحاب النار. They are the inmates of the fire. هم فيها خالدون. Therein they shall abide. بس ترجمہ ہو گیا. آگے انشاءاللہ نیکسٹ ویک پڑھیں گے. وآخر دعوانا الحمدللہ رب العالمین وصلی اللہ وسلم علی سیدنا محمد وآلہ وصحبہ اجمعین. سبحانک اللہم وبحمدک نشہد ان لا الہ الا انت نستغفرک ونتوب الیک. پروردگار عالم ہمارے اپنا بیٹھنا کہنا سننا پڑھنا پڑھانا قبول فرمائیے. اللہم نور قلوبنا بالقرآن وزین اخلاقنا بالقرآن ونجنا من وادخلنا الجنة بشفاعة القرآن. اللهم اجعل القرآن العظيم ربيع قلوبنا ونور صدورنا وجلاء أحزاننا وذهاب همومنا وغمومنا وكروبنا يا رب العالمين. اللهم ذكرنا منه ما نسينا وعلمنا منه ما جهلنا وارزقنا تلاوته آناء الليل وأطراف النهار واجعله لنا حجة يا رب العالمين يا أرحم الراحمين. قرآن شریف کو پڑھنے، سمجھنے، اس پر عمل کرنے اور اس کی نشر و اشاعت کرنے کی توفیق عطا فرمائیے. قرآن علوم سے ہمارے سینوں کو منور فرمائیے. ہمارے اکابر مشائخ اساتذہ کرام کو ہماری طرف سے خیر عطا فرمائیے. پروردگار عالم پوری امت پر رحم فرمائیے. پوری امت کو قرآن کی طرف متوجہ فرمائیے. قرآن علوم سے پوری امت کو بہرور فرمائیے اور ہمیں قرآن کے علوم کو پھیلانے کی توفیق عطا فرمائیے. پروردگار عالم جہاں جہاں مسلمان بیچارے تکلیف میں ہیں، پریشانی میں ہیں، اللہ مظالم کا شکار ہیں، بیچاروں کے لیے آسانیاں فرمائیے. ظلم کا خاتمہ فرمائیے. عدل اور انصاف کو قائم فرمائیے. ظالموں کے حق میں ہدایت ہے تو نصیب فرمائیے، نہیں ہے تو ایک ایک ظالم بدماش گنڈے لچے لپنگے خبیث کی اچھی طرح پکڑ فرمائیے. ظالموں پر اپنا قہر اور غضب اور رجس اور عذاب اور لعنت اور پھٹکار نازل فرمائیے. ان کے مظالم سے یا اللہ پوری امت کو، پوری انسانیت کو نجات عطا فرمائیے. جس طرح آپ نے فرعون سے اللہ فرعون سے آپ نمٹے تھے، اسی طرح اس دور کے فرعونوں سے بھی نمٹ لیجئے اور پوری انسانیت کو ظالموں سے نجات عطا فرمائیے. ہماری ٹوٹی پھوٹی دعائیں قبول فرمائیے. ربنا تقبل انت السميع العليم وتب علينا انك انت التواب الرحيم. وصلى اللهم وسلم على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه اجمعين برحمتك يا ارحم الراحمين.